Phil Douche from North Beach Sea Eagles, mate. Thank you for joining me on NRL Fans WA.
Not a problem. Thanks for having us.
No worries. Just give you a bit of a rundown of what I do with the page, mate. Just trying to promote the game here in Perth, get more people involved in our clubs. More people participating, more players, volunteers, all that sort of stuff. Also, share. So I share our local competition and stuff, juniors, seniors, photos, all that sort of stuff. But also NRL, news and scores and all that sort of stuff.
I've been enjoying it myself, mate. I've been following on Facebook now for a couple of months and just been
cool.
enjoying the articles, and it's good. And as much media attention as we can get over here, it's the better for all of us.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's it. And like I said, the main point of it is just to get more people involved in the clubs. I'm myself vice president out at Serpentine Junior Club. So just trying to get more people involved in the clubs. And more people join our game.
Yeah, well, we hosted the senior boys up a couple of weeks ago. It was good to see them out and having a game, and seem to be enjoying themselves. And hopefully they can grow it and get better and better as they go.
Yeah, definitely. We struggle for numbers. We've finally got a team this year, so it's good. We've got a couple of boys that come up from Albany every week to play the game. So
that's true passion, then, isn't it? It's great.
That's it, mate. That's it.
Yeah.
So give us a bit of a club history on the North Beach Eagles, mate, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so North Beach has been around since 1951. There was actually some guys there that the North Beach Surf Lifesaving Club that decided that some of them were actually playing league at other clubs around Perth, and they decided they'd form the club. So original club rooms was actually right on the coast there, which is now one of the car parks down one of the North Beach beaches there. The club was there for a good period of time, and then eventually we actually built our own clubhouse up at Charles Riley, where we are today.
Nice.
So they've been around a long time. Not one of the founding clubs, but been a big part of the competition for the majority of its time, and been a very successful club.
Yeah, I've noticed that. For a while there, it was basically, excuse me, it was basically yourself, North Beach and South Perth, going title for title in the premiership for a while.
That's true. It was, but Fremantle obviously been very good over the last 6 to 8 years. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they've come a long way as well. So so how are you guys going with teams? How many teams do you got, and the numbers for basically all the teams?
Yeah, so starting at juniors, I guess. Juniors, rugby league in North Beach, where we are at the moment, it's not a huge amount of kids in the area. I would say, if anything, it's actually growing though. There's the suburbs around, such as Innaloo, Scarborough, Doubleview, are getting more and more kids back in. So there is some young kids coming through, and we've got a good connection there with Crean High School as well, which has always helped feed us with numbers. So I think we probably wouldn't have them. We wouldn't be anywhere near like a Rockingham, say, in terms of junior numbers. But we do fill all grades, and our teams are usually pretty competitive. I think we do a great job of developing them as they come through. So they might not necessarily be winning competitions. They might not have the depth or the size of some of the other clubs. But the kids get good development, and the ones that come through and start playing seniors at 17 are pretty well rounded by the time they get there already, which is great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome. What about the senior teams, mate? I know you're looking at putting in a second reserve grade team, because
that's going ahead. So that's part of the new draw for this week. So we'll have a Sea Eagles maroon and Sea Eagles white.
Cool.
We fielded an under-18s team at the start of last year, and Jeff Woolley did a great job getting a lot of kids down to join, and they had very, very good numbers. And unfortunately, that competition fell over about 4 or 5 weeks into the season. So we managed to probably hold on to about 6 or 10 of those kids that were eligible to play grade at that stage. So that they filled mainly our third grade team last year. Just due to it being our 70th year, we had a lot of old boys come back for a final hurrah. But the young boys, they stuck around the club. They kept to it. They kept training hard, and some of them were playing reserve grade. We had young Bailey Miller playing first grade, but a majority of them were in third grade. And they've come back over the off season, and they've probably brought another half a dozen kids with them that may have played a bit of league, but have been off playing rugby union in the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
So we were really excited of the preseason to be having like 12 to 18, 17, 18-year-old kids training within the senior group. And it was a bit disappointing when unfortunately the reserve grade and then Val Murphy had to be combined.
Yeah.
So we had to sit down and have a real hard think about what we wanted to do. If it was just based on performance, we could have stacked a good reserve grade team then and looked to win premierships. But we've decided that the best thing for us in the long term is to hold 3 teams and 2 teams in that competition, and we won't just be stacking one on the sides. We're trying to balance it out as well, so both teams have got a good opportunity to win the matches.
Yeah,
and we're trying to mix experience with some of those younger boys as well, so they get opportunity to play with some older boys and learn off them.
Yeah, that's the way.
Yeah,
and that sort of creates fighting for those first grade sort of teams as well. Having the 2 reserve grade 100%. Teams.
Yeah, they're really enjoying the idea that both teams are feeding up to first grade, and that if some of the boys aren't making grade, that they'll be dropping back into either one of the teams. They'll be being allocated to one of the 2 teams. So it's not just there's no 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
process.
How did you feel as a club when the NRLWA decided to drop the Val Murphy third grade competition?
Look, it's very easy. I don't know. It must be very hard for them. It's going into the start of the competition, COVID. We had a lot of people out as well. I could imagine other clubs were suffering too and were struggling to nominate.
Yeah.
So they got to a point, and unfortunately, that's the way they went with it.
Yep.
I would have loved to keep Val Murphy. I think it's a good pathway. It allows the social players to enjoy themselves.
Yeah.
And it just gives us all scope to grow. So hopefully it's only this year, and we can get back to our 3 grades next year. I think that's really important for all the clubs to be striving for that.
Yeah, I think it sort of helped. It would have helped clubs like, for example, like us, Ellenbrook, and those sort of clubs that are new, the Kwinana Titans 100%. As well. Because they're playing guys that are dropping down from first grade to reserve grade because of the form or whatever it is. It makes it a bit harder.
Yeah, definitely.
But like you said, hopefully next year they do look at this and go, well, hang on, we do need a third grade.
Yeah. It was interesting though, like we're at was it round 2 at Joondalup, and I saw Willagee were actually, they've come back in the comp after a year out, and they were playing Joondalup there, and it was a really close game, and Willagee could have easily got up in that game. So it was good to see them come out and be competitive and really take it to a genuine reserve grade side.
Yeah, definitely.
That was great too.
Yeah, and that's the good thing about I guess having that reserve grade is that we do have clubs that have the players that have the ability to play reserve grade. They're just unfortunately too far from North Beach or too far from wherever they're able to play for example, like us at Serpents or Willagee. So it's good in that way. But I think me personally, I think the third grade should have been kept. But
it would have been good to fight for it. But
who was to know that, for example, us we're going to come in this year. We were struggling for a while to even look for a team. So
well, you guys are actually up at our home ground this week playing one of our teams.
They are. It kind of sucks. Some of our committee can't get up there because we've got other sport commitments that we've got to, so it's been a bit hard for a few weeks. Because I also coach. So I coach some of the junior teams as well. And I also coach my girls' netball team. So and they don't finish until basically 12:30. So by the time I get out of there, it's too long to get up. And I've already missed half of the game. So Yeah,
Yeah,
it's hard.
especially in that time slot, like the first time slot of the two games. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
How are you going? How you guys going for coaches and volunteers? I know, like, it's very hard with us at the moment trying to get coaches and volunteers because, I guess with a club like yourself, you probably are able to pay some coaches, like your first grade coach or
Yeah.
even a reserve grade coach. But like your junior coaches, they're all volunteers.
Mm.
How are you guys going? Or how did you find getting the coaches and the volunteers for the club this year?
Yeah. So on a junior level, we've actually got quite a few players involved with that system.
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah, there's Justin Buckley and Jeremy Wallace are involved in the first grade side.
Yep.
They've been involved in coaching over a couple, 2 or 3 years. So they do really good work with, I would say, from say the 14s upwards.
Yep.
And then there's Jamie Rogers there, JR, who's been around for years as a first grade coach, reserve grade coach. He's back coaching in the reserve grade competition this year. He's also helped coaching in that age group.
Yeah, cool.
But yeah, so we're pretty good there for junior coaches. And Trudy, our junior president, does a great job.
Yeah, awesome.
Herself and her and her partner Alex, they're amazing people and they're always putting the time in. But yeah, there seems to be a good amount of coaches across the board. Like my son's in his first year this year in the under sixes.
Nice.
And his coach Levi, who's played, I played Oztag with him for a few years, and he came up and was playing some reserve grade the last couple of years. So he's doing a great job with the young ones. So, and Gersh Adams, an ex-first grader at the club. So there's a lot of ex-players that are putting in, and then you see the parents come in as well. So on a junior level, we've done really well coaching-wise. Senior was actually quite hard to fill all the spots this year.
Okay.
Yeah, just we've got myself on, and then Craig Phillis and Jason Gadecki is a playing coach role. And then JR stepped in to help us out, and Jason Thompson's back in third grade. So yeah, there is coaching staff there, but trainers is always a very real difficult one. We had a great trainer. Unfortunately, he got a paid role with AFL in the waffle.
Okay, nice.
Which doesn't help. Which great for him though, because that's his field of excellence as well. That's what he's training for and his work wise. So
yeah,
I think he's working with their Colts or something like that in the Swan District. So
yeah, cool.
But yeah, Jeff Woolley's doing a good job though there. And his son's playing first grade now as well, so he's our main head trainer there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like we struggle for coaches, volunteers. Volunteers is the hardest thing, especially with a new club like ours. People don't want to step in. And it's a bit hard with a lot of parents working FIFO, shift work, all that sort of stuff. So it does make it a very hard thing to get the volunteers for that.
Yeah, we have a lot of old boys there that basically live down the club and have probably taken on too much over the last 10, 20 years, and they're the one every Friday sitting there setting up the game or the club for the games the next day. Helping to clean up and put everything away. So we've actually put a real focus in on our playing group this year to assist them. So it was really good actually. Last home game, we probably had about 3 or 4 grade players coming down and help assist on the Friday if they finish work early, which is awesome, which hasn't happened for a while. And all our players are helping with pack up after first grade finishes. So just those small things to try and take some load off the volunteers, the guys and girls. And we've got some amazing men and women that basically live there. So
yeah, definitely, mate, absolutely. Have you got any upcoming events, like fundraising events that are coming up for the club that you want to put out there that people can get behind?
We just had an auction with the jumpers, which is replace the old first try scorers. We just actually had that last week, but so players were actually auctioning for jumpers, and then the pool of money will get put off into prize money for the weeks as they go by. And if your jumper scores first try, then you pick up a bit of cash there, which is quite good. But nice. I think we've got the MND round coming up, but with Joondalup, which is very important. There's a couple of it's an important date for a couple of families within both clubs.
Yeah.
So that was a great event last year. So that's coming up soon in the next month, which will be a great game down at home.
Yep, absolutely.
But other than that, I think Ladies' Day's last round. It's always a fun day, and it's good to acknowledge all the women that we have at the club that work so hard. And now that we've got the ladies tackle and the league tag down as well, it's great to have a real family atmosphere down the club.
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys wanted to get any NRL jumpers signed with the contacts I've made through this, mate.
Great.
Yeah, don't be afraid to hit me up. All it will cost you basically is the cost of a jersey. And,
awesome.
I can get them sent over to some of the contacts.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And you can auction them off. The money goes towards your club.
Thanks. That'd be really good. Yeah, cheers.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Like I said, this is all for the clubs and our teams and our kids and players getting behind it. So I'm happy to do that, mate. So
thank you. Yeah, it's we've got clubs that have been around for years now, and we're obviously considered one of the strong ones that have been around for years. And you look at the strength of a club like South Perth and stuff, but without volunteers, clubs can disappear very soon, very quickly. This is actually my third club in WA.
Okay.
Yeah, so my old man was originally an Applecross boy, so that's where I grew up, around the Applecross Rugby League Club. It was a very strong football club as well.
Yep.
But unfortunately, by the time early 2000s, Applecross had gone, and I spent my juniors at Sorrento as well, which was was a very strong junior club as well. And again, by the time I finished under 18s, Sorrento had folded as well. So if you don't have the volunteers, you don't have the people there to help support the club. Doesn't matter who you are, clubs can fall away very quickly.
I was part of the Armidale club when I moved over to Perth. Yeah, back when they were the Warriors, and then they sort of went away, come back as the Bunnies, I think it was. And then they went away again. So but I was an Armidale boy.
Some good old hard clashes out there.
Yeah, absolutely. What does the future for North Beach look like these days, mate? What are you working towards?
Well, it's really working, like I was talking about, these 17 and 18-year-old kids. We really need to keep putting as much time as we can into them so they're enjoying their rugby league. So if you look, last year was a very good year for the club. We had our 70th anniversary, so we had a lot of players come back for a bit of a swan song. All grades were really strong, but if you looked at our first grade squad, there's quite, probably a third to a half of them were over 30. And then we had some really good guys there that are young, between 18, 21, but there's a real bit of a void there in the middle. There's probably only one or two guys in that 24 to 28 kind of category. So we're conscious that as we lose those older boys in their 30s, we need to make sure that the younger boys in the early 20s are still enjoying their footy and want to hang around. So that's really, that's always been the emphasis on myself coming through as a junior coach into seniors. JR is really big on that as well, and all the coaching staff are really supportive of that. So we try and do as much combined sessions as we can through all the grades, so that they're all learning off each other. And you can see the younger boys when the first grade boys give them a tip or pat them on the back, they really appreciate it. So
absolutely. We because I coach, our highest junior grade at the moment is our under 11s, which I coach, and I get the seniors to come over and train with them as well.
Awesome.
They love it. Like the seniors get a bit of fitness, they play a bit of touch. They love it. The kids are just like bright-eyed, they're just like, and listen to all the info the guys give them. So it's cool. Do you find with the 17s, 18s, even basically from, I guess, 13 up to 18s, the fact that the NRL WA doesn't have a pathway system, losing players that way, do you find that hard?
So I've been involved in the West Coast Pirate system. Obviously we've lost it since COVID, but you see a lot of talent come into that system that have come through and played under 12s, under 15 state and all that kind of stuff, played all the rep games. They've played all those years at the club level. And some of them obviously decide they have to leave at 15. That's the best way, trying to get into a Harold Matthews program and then into SG Ball. And then when we do have some talent in our SG Ball system, then there's obviously pressure from rugby union as well within the state.
Yeah.
It's a shame to see kids have to sit out playing football when they're 16, not being able to play both codes.
Yeah.
So seeing stuff like that happens, it really hurts because you can see these kids love both games. So yeah. But the pathway, you can see clubs obviously setting up their own pathways now. Like Joondalup have had some connections there in Queensland and South Perth.
Cool.
Seem to be pushing their connections there with Canberra this year. So it's good to see that kids are getting an opportunity. It would be great to be able to offer that in Perth so they could go through and be playing at all levels throughout WA. And if that means they end up playing at a higher level and play in the eastern states, that'd be great.
Yeah.
But still got that connection to our Perth local competition.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you've seen in the news lately, there's been a bit of talk around the WA government has been talking to the North Sydney Bears.
Yeah.
I think that's a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
Especially for us, with our pathway system, we can send our players to the North Sydney Bears, for all their grades going up to New South Wales Cup.
Yeah.
It gives them that pathway.
No, I think it's a great idea as well because, we've played North Sydney in the SG ball competition. We played them, I think, about 2017 or went over there and watched them. We actually were quite very, very competitive and close to beating them. So they're not typically one of the stronger teams in that competition just due to the numbers they have in their junior catchment versus, your Parramatta's and your Penriths.
Yeah.
So I think that we could really supplement them well. So I think there'd be a really good connection there. They've obviously got a good history there. They can get some good corporate sponsors, I think, as well, being in the area that they're at, being on that side of the Harbour Bridge.
Yep.
I can see it as a positive. I think but I guess when it comes to these kind of things, how it's all structured, who's in charge, getting the right investment and money behind it so that they can be a success is important.
Absolutely.
So, and even stuff like, like deals on how their like stadium deals work and all that kind of stuff. Like you can see how that can really make or break clubs. So when we do come back in, we want to make sure that we have a strong backing and we have a strong pathway and we can actually be a successful club because if that means it has to be within North Sydney, I think that's an opportunity that we should be really looking at.
Yeah. Well, I think, there's really no chance of North Sydney coming back as a club.
No.
So many teams in New South Wales.
No.
And Perth, like, as much as I hate to say it, I think if Perth was going to do their bid by themselves, the NRL would go to New Zealand for a second team.
Yeah.
And I was speaking to Nigel Bunganar, who used to work for the New Zealand Rugby League. And I used to live in New Zealand, so I also know, unless you live in Auckland, it doesn't. No one cares about league. It's all union.
I think there's a little patch there on the west coast of the South Island, and other than that, South Auckland, and then rugby's the religion over there.
Yeah, exactly. So Nigel said that it wouldn't work. They need to put a lot more development into it. But I think the NRL is they're adamant about going there. But if with this North Sydney sort of bid with Perth, I think the area team, it'd be stupid for the NRL not to put us up there as a team to sort of beat.
I think between the North Sydney area, which is there's a lot of money in that area, and then obviously WA at the moment with the mining industries, I think there's more than enough corporate backing there to get behind a team. And unfortunately, money is important. And I think that would work really well. And I think you would see a lot more players from WA make it in the NRL level if they've just got the right pathway. Unfortunately, we have a really small competition, and kids aren't getting the coaching and the the competition that they need when they're in that 13, 14, 15-year-old age group.
Exactly.
Before they join our pathways that we can offer them. You can see the step up for the boys that come into the West, even when we were playing in the SG ball competition. It's not just the on-field stuff, it's the level of training that you need to do to compete at that level.
Yeah.
It's basically, going from 0 to 100 in a matter of weeks. When you're trying to get them ready in a very short time period, you can see the mental and physical fatigue that they go through by around 2 or 3 that they're shot.
Yeah.
It's very hard on them. So they need to be playing competitive football and getting a decent level of training by the time, they're 14, 15, and to start ramping them up so that they get the right exposure. You still make it enjoyable, obviously.
Yeah.
But they are starting to take it a little bit more seriously as they go.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. How does your club, how do you find trying to retain players and families? We just talked about obviously the, basically 13s up to 18s, but how do you find keeping players from the seniors also down to, the younger ages in the juniors?
Yeah. Senior level, I coming from a different club myself before I came to North Beach in 2016. I thought I had my own personal opinion of what I thought it'd be like at North Beach. And then when I came into the club, I just couldn't believe how amazing everyone was in accepting and bringing you under their wing. And there is really no cliques at the club. So you come down and you have a drink on a Friday or Saturday night. All grades are socialising together as one. It is a really friendly environment. So there is a lot of old guys that have been around the club for years, and they're not going anywhere. And guys that do come into the club typically do enjoy it. So they feel like, they find a home pretty quick.
Yeah.
So I think
absolutely.
just that having that environment, like yes, we want to be competitive, and yes, we want to win games of football, but if we don't generate those friendships or relationships, then people will leave very quickly.
Yeah.
I think that side of things we do very well. And then juniors, I think it really comes down the quality of coaching.
Yeah.
You need to be engaging all the kids. They all need to be getting something out of it. You can't just be focusing on your best 2 or 3 in each team. There needs to be a real focus across the whole group to make sure they're all engaged and enjoying it. And all the kids are there for different reasons. So you got to try and tap into that and understand why each kid's there and how do I get them to come back next year.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's it. Is there anything, that was basically the last question, mate, but do you have anything that you want to say to the volunteers of your club and the rest of the volunteers around the association, before you leave?
Yeah, I just appreciate everyone's efforts. I know they can get a bit of frustration within the WA rugby league community. We get upset over things not going how we expect them or want them to go. There's a lot of people that are overworked at all different levels, whether it be club level, administration levels, refereeing, whatever.
Yeah.
We're all working our hardest, I think. I just think, as long as everyone maintains that main goal or vision to keep growing the game in WA, sometimes, some decisions may seem to not have that, best interest at heart.
Yeah.
You can see some of those decisions across different areas or clubs, and you just think, what are you doing? It's not going to help the game in the long term. Winning games of football is fun, but we are a small community and we got to look after each other.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. No, Phil, I really appreciate you coming on and giving me your time.
Not a problem.
You've got a family, but promote the North Beach Football Club. Good luck with the rest of the season for your juniors and your seniors.
Thank you.
And best of luck for everything else, mate.
Not a problem.
Thank you for coming on NRL Fans WA.
Yeah, cheers, Jamie. Good to speak to you.
Thanks, mate. You have a good night.